I want to tell you how much I appreciate you doing this with me, and hopefully we'll get some views. And then once you get your YouTube channel up for your music, then we'll get a bunch of stuff going for you too.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
All right, first question I got is, what the happened to your hair?
Man, I'm going bald, bro.
I mean, I did this intentionally, but like because I was gonna do this as I don't know if you remember me taking this picture. Let me do this. There. I don't know if you remember me taking this picture
Oh yeah. Oh no, just lost me. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
over at the
Silent man.
over at the incline. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a great pose, man. I gotta tell myself. Quite impressed with myself there.
Yeah, defying gravity a little bit. But
Right?
that was a long time ago. Okay, how do I
It was, yeah, definitely a long time ago, man. Yeah, no, I had the whole Jesus thing going, the long hair, the beard, and I kept it for some years, and then when I moved to DC, so I stayed with my parents for still staying there for a couple years after the brain injury center. Um, and it just got to a point for I was ready to move out on my own.
Yeah.
And so I moved to DC, and in DC I had to just come to grips with it because it really started losing it up here.
Oh
And
yeah.
so then I just had this long hair, and I looked like one of them, I didn't want to be that guy that's like desperately trying to hold on to his hair. So I'm like growing out what I can, and I
Oh
was like, man, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, because I did one of those Spartan races last August,
Uh-huh.
and a friend of mine bet me that I wouldn't shave my head for the race, and so I did it. And then after I did it, I'm like, you know what? I kind of like how it looks, so I'm just
Yeah,
like,
right.
I just kept it since then.
I
And
feel
it's
the same, man. I'm more confident, honestly, without it. I was a little insecure, I guess, about the with it. So I'm more confident now. I feel better with it. Yeah.
well that, and I don't hate the shaved head, and I don't mind having like decently length hair, but the stages in between, like when it's
Yeah.
growing, I absolutely
Yeah.
despise it. So it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
at this point, I'm
Absolutely.
just gonna keep it shaved. Like,
Yeah. No. It's so much easier. I don't. You don't have to think about it. Like I got clippers for myself, so I literally just go in and I do like you see, I got like a little tiny little fade. So
yeah.
you know what I mean. I
Oh
do
no,
that.
it doesn't look bad at all. It's just like I
Yeah.
said, the last time I saw you
Oh yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
now, it's just like, hey, but
Yeah. It's
all
what it
right.
is.
So if you could please introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, whether if you want to go into how we know each other or anything like that. It's awkward because I'm looking at you because I'm talking to you, but my camera's over here, so
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm
Yeah.
working
No
on
worries.
getting. I have an actual like PC monitor to my right here. I'm working on getting a mounting station so I can have it above, so I can do more like how you're doing. Because I,
Oh, I
I
got
want
the
to.
Mac. I got one of the Mac computers, so it's like straight in front of me. It's in the
Oh, okay.
computer. Yeah, it's actually in the computer.
Yeah, because I have one on my laptop, but I don't like the camera on the laptop. So yeah,
Yeah.
and my friend, he let me borrow one of his webcams and stuff.
Nice.
So,
Nice. Yeah, you can look where you want. I got you. We're good.
but yeah, no. So Mike, just tell me or tell my listeners a little bit about yourself. Like I said,
Yeah, for sure. Michael Barbeau. Stephen Barbeau. That's my middle name, as my mom likes to call me when I do bad things. Michael Stephen.
no, we would never do bad things.
No, no, no. Yeah, so I joined the Army. I want to say I was 23 when I joined the Army. I got in the Army, combat engineer, basically infantry trained with explosives. We worked hand in hand with EOD. Basically suffered a brain injury through getting blown up 2155 rounds. And not to go into too much detail about all the stuff in Iraq and whatnot, but it was just I was in Ramadi, Iraq, and just a hellacious, hellacious place.
When
Uh,
were you in Ramadi?
2006, 2008, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So I got there in 2007. So I got there.
You might have been there same time. Yeah,
Yeah, very well
yeah,
possibility of it.
yeah.
That's funny. Because yeah, I mean, we met at a
Brain injury center. Yeah,
yeah DivBIC, Defense and Veterans Brain
brain
Injury
injury. Yeah,
Center. Yeah, and although we were there together, we never really talked a whole lot. I think we've talked more on Facebook throughout the years
oh
than we
yeah,
ever did there, just because you were kind of in the later stages of the treatment per
Yeah.
se, and by the time I had got there, and then it just we had our own groups inside the center, but so that's how we know each other. Now I have a question,
Yeah.
and I don't want to get. It's not that I don't want to get too personal, but I don't want to piss you off with any of my questions.
Oh
So
no,
if
you
I,
definitely can't. Yeah.
you're saying it was just like one singular explosion that caused
No,
your.
no, I was in several explosions, man. It was the last one was just more serious. Where the
Okay.
last one, I just, I mean, I got medevaced out of there. I don't really remember too much, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
remember waking up on there, where a friend of mine had lost both his legs. I remember seeing him. Um, I was just in and out of it. I remember constantly trying to. I'm hard headed as and excuse my language,
No,
but I kept
I
trying to get out of bed and walk, and I couldn't walk at first. Kept falling over, and it just began the whole process. Believe it or not, looking back at it all now, I'd had some concussions and more a little bit more serious what now I consider brain injuries as well. When I was younger, playing hockey, I went blind. I had to got checked and hit my head, and went blind for like 30 minutes on that.
damn. Okay. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
have scared the shit out of me.
it did, man. I was screaming for my mom. I was like, 11 or 12 years old.
I mean,
Uh,
screw that though. Like if that happened to me now, I'm 34 now. If that happened
yeah,
to me now, I'd still be scared shitless. Like
yeah. So
a couple.
I had some pretty decent concussions and stuff. I got knocked out in army training before, where same thing, just a more severe or serious concussion, where I was like, just out, and that's just normal training and hand-to-hand combat training and stuff. Uh, and it's one of those things that I'm sure you learned the same thing as well. That brain injuries exacerbate themselves after you get one, especially in one area. If you keep hitting that same area, you
Oh yeah, yeah.
pass out quicker. You can have more intense effects of it quicker and different stuff. So it's one of those things. But I think my brain, uh, other people with the similar uh, damage to their brain as I had, I recovered in ways that I some people hadn't. I think because my brain got used to already have gone through this at an early age when I was
Yeah.
younger growing up, and so it kind of got used to healing itself in those ways, which they say. But the brain's a magical thing, man. Our consciousnesses, they're really magical things, and man, we can do wonders even if you're missing, part of your brain or different things happen. I feel like, man, we can still recover in ways. And do I still deal with stuff? Yeah, but I feel like I've been able to heal parts of myself through through intense meditation, and obviously, I've been through a lot of therapies, years and years and years of
Oh
therapy.
yeah.
Finding tactics to help trigger new thought processes. I forget what the science term would be. Neural pathways, new neural pathways.
Yep.
Um, and music has been a big one for me. I mean, I got all my music stuff. Well, you can't really see it, but
Well, I see the stuff you got over there.
some
Yeah.
around me. There's my DJ stuff there. Here's the keyboard here.
Nice.
You can probably hear some of it. So music's been a big thing for me. It works both sides of the brain. It was my saving grace pretty much. It kept me motivated. I love doing it. Um, you know, and yeah, so that's the story with that. It has been a hellacious road though to this road to recovery. I mean, I'm talking that was 2007 when I actually got injured, later part of 2007. Um, so you're talking over a decade now, and there's still parts of me that I'm still trying to get back, to be honest.
Trying to work on it, and yeah,
Yeah,
and that's part of why I wanted to have you on here and talk to you. But besides just to check in and see how you were doing, is that even though we both suffer from obvious similar injuries, traumatic brain injuries, just how my injury can affect me in different ways than your injury can affect you. And it's just so many people out there just, I don't want to say fail to see that, but just can't necessarily comprehend that how much the brain controls. I can't tell you over the
Absolutely.
years since my injury, I lost my sense of smell when I was injured. And I've had to tell people, and they're like, well, how does a brain injury affect that? And it's just like, well, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know all the scientific stuff. I just know that
Yeah.
it does. And
Yeah. So
your
it's
brain controls everything. And it's just, it's,
absolutely. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around, man. To really conceptualize what it is. You say like you know, you say, "Oh, I have a brain injury," and it literally can affect your emotions, your sight, your smell, your hearing, your taste, your touch, your nervous system. Which your nervous system again is responsible for every aspect of how you perceive this world. I mean, these are huge elements that people don't understand. It literally is life changing. You have to adapt. I felt like I woke up in a new world, man. That's how I felt. I felt like I woke up in a new world, and
yeah.
I had to relearn stuff that seemed like common sense, but I had to relearn it, and I relearned it. Am I still the same me? Yes and no. Like I feel like now I don't want to say like I'm degraded. I feel like I'm me 2.0. Like
Oh,
actually
yeah.
right now I feel like I'm 4.0, but whatevs, like
Oh no, and I want to talk about that because yeah, my father. I mean, I love my father to death, but he's stupid, and he's gonna watch this video, so he's gonna hear me say that, and that's fine.
we love
But
you, Dad.
uh, there's been so many times over the years that, like you said, he's like, "Oh, you're the same person that you were before," and it's like, well, yes, in a way that I am. I still enjoy a lot of the same things.
Yeah,
I still have the same sarcasm. But it's there's so much more going on, and it's amazing that a lot of the doctors and a lot of the researchers don't necessarily have a full grasp on the brain yet. So how are me and you supposed to understand all the things that
absolutely.
are
Uh,
affected by it?
yeah, it's really wild. And the other thing too is I had to let go of how people perceive different stuff because I can literally tell them something I think with simple words like, "Hey, man, this is how it affects me. This is what happens here," or something like that. And depending on the situation and where their own brain and consciousness is, depends on how they're going to either remember that, "Hey, look, he still deals with this," or "This is this issue." It changes per situation, and it's something I've had to learn. I'm sure you've done the same. You have to learn to accept that, man. It feels it made me feel really really lonely and isolated at times because it's like, do people understand? Like I feel like I'm clearly verbalizing this and like, do you understand what it is I'm saying? Like it's been quite a process, but like I said, there's been a exuberant amount of personal growth from it that, quite frankly, I wouldn't take back.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, no, and it's like you said, it's like you could literally say it in the simplest words, and it's just like the people look at you, and it's like I can't tell if you're understanding what I'm saying.
yeah,
A few years ago, when I first moved down to North Carolina, I worked for a friend of mine. He owns a paintball park about an hour and a half away from me, and he had known me before my injury, so he had known I had worked with him a little bit and volunteered and stuff when I was in the Marine Corps. So he had known my work ethic and how I did things before my injury. So after my injury, when I was working for him, if I said, "Hey, I need to take a break because something's bugging me" or something like that, it's like he understood that it's not like, "Oh, I'm not just trying to work" or whatever. It's like he understood that there was something different, something
yeah,
wrong. So it was definitely a blessing because it got me out of New York State. Him offering me the job
nice.
got me out of New York State, and I'm in a much happier place. I mean, again, my parents are still in New York, and I love my parents, but I'm in a much happier place here in my life than I
Good,
would
man.
have been if I had stayed up there. So it's just like the small little things like that that people will never understand. Just the small acts of kindness and stuff like that that you do for
They
people.
go a long way. They go a long way. Honestly, I finally found a doctor myself, a psychologist, Dr. Love her to death. Man, I feel so heard when I speak to her. It's like she sees me. When I talk about a lot of the things I still go through and try to process in life and everything, considering the brain injury and then everything else. Like, man, the effects with my nervous system, it feels like it's torturous, man. It's literally torturous at times. I don't know how to I want to escape my body, just hop out of my body, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's yeah, like you said, it feels so good to actually be seen and heard for what they are. I mean, I feel the same. I have a huge work ethic, man. I tried to go back to work myself. Work for a wonderful, wonderful company down here with beautiful people. Krabby Mike's Seafood Calabash Buffet. If you ever come down, it's like the best buffet in town.
Okay, so you're back down in Myrtle Beach now?
I am back down to
Okay.
Myrtle now, yeah. But I'm not working there anymore. Again, it's because it's just there's they understood more than any other place I tried to work at. It's just, man, I have good days, and man, I got days where I literally was breaking down. I was crying so hard at work, and I'm not one to just cry about bullshit. Like if you see me and I tell you I'm not doing good, you please trust me. I'm not
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
good. And man, I broke down to a point where they literally they thought I was suicidal, and I'm like, guys, this is just what I have to go through. You know, I have to. But sometimes I hurt so much, I just need to cry it out, and sometimes I just need to cry it out, man. That's a part of me keeping myself healthy. You know.
Well, that and again, especially for me talking about that type of stuff, it's like I get so emotional over I don't want to say the stupidest stuff, but like the dog videos where you see him rescuing the
Oh
dogs on the
yeah,
side. It's like
yeah,
it's like before I would have. I mean, sure, I would have felt bad for the dog. Don't get me wrong, I love
yeah.
dogs, but now it's like that shit brings tears to my eyes, and it's just like I'm at first I used to be embarrassed by it, but it's just like
It's a piece of you. Like honestly, I feel like that's something that everyone around us, and I hope the people watching this can take from this is, man, our emotions are such a huge part of us. So when you have something that affects your emotions like that, it changes everything. But that's like we're trained men are supposed to be macho men and all this other stuff, but that's a huge part of us. And if we don't honor it and value it properly and process emotions properly, we're denying a piece of ourselves. That's
yeah.
cool that you say that. I try to do the same, man. I'm not embarrassed of it at all. I will cry if I feel like crying. I'll do I'll do whatever I need to do because it's a part of me, and that's something I've gained through all this. Is man, a huge. I love myself so much now, man. I've gone through so much, and I love like not to toot my own horn, but I'm the sauce, you know.
Oh
Like
yeah, and
I love
what's
myself.
because I mean, and not just saying that me and you, but people that have been through trauma. I'm reading this book that my counselor recommended to me. The Body Keeps the Score. I wish I had it sitting here with me so I could show it to the camera. But it just talks about all these types of people that have, like Vietnam vets that have gone through trauma and stuff. And it's just like talking about the different symptoms and different things like that. And it's just like, I didn't go through that type of trauma, but I can literally check off like
Right?
five out of six
Yeah,
of the symptoms that they have. And it's just like,
yeah, absolutely.
I the amount of stuff that we have been through, it's just like a lot of people say, my parents used to say, again, I'm going to bring them up just because I hate my parents. No, not, but they used to say,
It's a good reference point you have in your life, though.
well, that, and they were there for me. They saved my life on numerous occasions after my injury, but they always used to say, and they've gotten better at it now because I broke down crying and screaming and punching and kicking and shit, that they used to say I would trade anything or I would trade positions with you. And it's like, no, you wouldn't. You would give it back in a heartbeat because I don't want to be here. No one wants to be here. The pain, just the pain
Yeah,
itself, not even all the emotional shit that goes along with it or the balance problems, the loss of smell, all the other shit, that just the pain itself is enough to drive people crazy. And it's just
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
and it's
I
again,
Here's a question for you though. So
okay.
I've gained how has it helped you gain with empathy? Because for me, it's a blessing in disguise. Like I feel like I'm so much more capable of empathizing with people, no matter what they, even if it's not a brain injury, no matter what ailment or what situation they're going through, I can so much more empathize with everybody now because of all that stuff I've gone through.
What
How has that affected you with that?
No, and I would agree. And people that I would have like taken their, uh, I don't want to sound like a total jackass when I say this, but like their injuries or their disabilities, I would have said, "Oh, it's not that bad." It's like looking at the stuff and talking to doctors, and for them to say that I'm lucky where I am and that I'm not a vegetable and all these other things. It's like I it gives you a whole new respect for the world, and it's just like
Absolutely.
again, I don't want anyone to have gone what I've gone through, but just people need to realize that they are not the center of the universe. It's just like
Yeah.
the guy on the street, he's probably not homeless because he wants to be homeless, or the guy that's in a wheelchair. It's like there's a and it's I feel for people a lot more than I ever did previous to my brain
And
injury.
that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing.
It it
Yeah,
is, but it makes me hate people that don't do that. So it's kind of
they'll get there
a
though.
counterbalance. Yeah.
We'll get them there. We'll get them up to speed. You know, we'll get them up to speed.
And honestly, that's all I'm trying to do is I don't necessarily want people to feel bad for me. I don't want anyone to feel bad
Yeah,
for me.
not at all.
I just want people to understand that there's a meme on I've seen on Facebook, and I'm sure you've seen it. It's like everyone is fighting an invisible battle that you have no idea about. And it's just
Yes.
like all I'm trying to do is to put it out there the kinds of battles that people are going through. And it's
Yeah.
just and that's why I'm like I said, I'm glad you're here. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes. Will.
I don't know what's going on there. I
All
just
right.
saw.
Well, I might have hey, if this
No,
ends in
yeah,
10 minutes, I'm gonna start a new meeting and invite you back to it. All right.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, that's yeah, man. I think you're doing a great thing here with this on spreading awareness, and the more so I tell people too is, man, we as a collective consciousness as humans, the more we can come from a place of empathy and love, understanding, compassion for anybody that's going through anything. Understand we can't feel and see things through anybody else's eyes, right? That's impossible, right?
Yeah.
We can only relate it to our own experiences, our own knowledge. And so it's hard to fully put yourself in somebody else's shoes. So, what's the other best thing you can do? Listen to them, empathize with them, right? If they tell you this is torture for me, then understand that that is torture for them. If they say this hurts this much, understand that hurts this much, you know?
Oh yeah.
And
It,
I feel we can come a long way in the world and change the world even if we can all learn to kind of come from that perspective. Yeah.
that and yeah, I have a buddy of mine that I went down to Florida back in October to visit with him and his wife and his kid. And I don't think I talked about this in one of my videos. I wanted to talk about it, but his kid was being a brat, so my friend took him out to the car so they could sit in the car while me and his wife finished our meal. And she was saying somehow it got brought up about pain, and she just said to me like, "I can't imagine that he's in as much pain as he claims to be." And it's just like, "Oh no, I can imagine." Like, I mean, just knowing from myself, it's even when I tell people it's like I'm in this much pain or this, it's like I'm always on the low end of things. Like if I
Yeah.
were to be honest and be like, "Hey, my head feels like it's gonna explode,"
Like
it's
it's
like
gonna explode right now. I know, right?
there's no way that a lot of people would believe. So it's like again, I don't want people to feel sorry. I just want
Yeah.
people to understand the things that it's. So when she says he's got back problems, he hurt his back in the Marine Corps. So it's like when he says, "Oh, hey, I can't bend over to pick this up," it's like he's being honest. He
Yeah.
can't bend over. Like he
Yeah.
can, but he's gonna start crying because he's gonna be in so much pain, and there's no shame of that. So it's just
Yeah.
again, our thing is traumatic brain injuries, and that's one side of the coin, I guess, or there's so many other types of injuries. But it's I can only imagine like I know the pain and the suffering that I've been through, but I can only imagine the type of pain that my buddy's been through or someone
Yeah.
that's lost a limb or something like that because that's a totally different type of that it's I don't know.
Different
It
beast in itself. It's a different beast in itself.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're all hellacious to be honest. War is hellacious. Hopefully it's something as humans we can learn to move past, honestly.
I would like to think that, but I would also like to think that there's a lot of people that don't want us to move past it. So
For sure. But we have the power collectively. We can do this. I'm telling you, light and love is going to be the new world. We've got this.
I, I'm gonna try to hop on that train for you.
Yes,
All right,
sir. Yes,
I got
sir.
I got some other questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so I answered that. Sorry.
No, you're good. Take your time.
How your family, were they, I mean, I know you said that after you got out, you lived with your family for a
Yeah,
couple of
my
years.
my family's been wonderful, man. So I feel very grateful to have the family I do. They supported me in every single way. They took the blunt end of my healing in a lot of ways, through anger fits and through yelling at them. And sometimes I wasn't thinking about situations correctly. I didn't understand the situation. And the patience they've had with me, the unconditional love they showed me, beyond a doubt, I'm eternally grateful for. Yeah, I couldn't thank them more, man. I couldn't thank them more. Yeah,
Well, that and it's weird for me, and I don't know about you, but you said like the anger fits and stuff like that, and it brought me back a couple years ago. I was at this Marcus Institute for Brain Health that I told you about,
yeah, yeah,
and in one of the group sessions, one of the gentlemen that was there, I won't say his name because I don't want to get him embarrassed or whatever like that, but he was saying that uh, he was walking out of some store and someone asked him to donate some money, and he said, oh, he didn't have any money on him, and then like some guy gave him a snobby remark or something like that, and he got in his face and started freaking out and being angry. It's like you don't want to be, it's just sometimes you can't help it, but it's, and then after he told his story, he looked at me and he's like, why don't you get angry? It's like, oh well, I do, but I
yeah,
get angry at myself. And luckily, I mean, I don't want to say luckily, because I feel bad for my father and all the stuff that I've made him go through over the years. But it's like I take out all my anger on my father. Like I've been absolutely horrible to him in a lot of ways. I mean, we've definitely done a lot of things and had a lot of good things in common, but a lot of the stuff that I've done, I look back on and it's just like that's crazy. I mean, I can't believe that he didn't shoot me, call the cops, stab me in my sleep. I mean,
yeah.
something. It's just like, but
It,
again, and it's good. It's good in a way because it's just when you vent like that. I mean, hopefully you learn from that type of situation and you try to make things better because it's just
For sure. It's such a wider range of emotions. The fluctuation of emotions for me since the injury and stuff has just been, it was uncontrollable at first. Um, to be truthful here, my parents did, my mom did call the cops on me before.
oh really?
Quite honest with you, yeah. I the whole situation. Yeah, I actually got arrested to be quite frank with you. I told the cop, I was like, okay, mom, I'll wait outside for the cop, and I waited outside for the cop, and I told him, I was like, hey man, I'm an injured vet. I have a brain injury. I have PTSD. Nothing serious is going on. I just, sometimes the communication's not there. I lost my cool a little bit. That's basically about the end of it. And here's something that my parents were outside. He asked us to go inside, so I thought he meant everybody. So I go to follow them inside, and this freaking cop, man, he literally like shoved the door in my face and then like slammed it against to where, and then he locked the door to the point where the door had hit me. And I was quite offended at this point, and I had a key, so I just opened the door. Me being me, I'm just like, dude, what the is going on here? Like, no. So
How you
I
gonna
opened,
lock me out of my own house?
yeah,
Like,
right. And I opened the door, and my parents, as a part of my recovery, I was actually paying not a lot, like literally a couple $100 to stay there. And that was me learning responsibility with money and other stuff to keep track of bills and stuff again.
yeah, yeah.
That was part of what they were doing to help me out with that. And so I actually told the cop, I was like, wait a minute, I know my right here. I pay to live here. You can't tell me I'm not allowed to be in here. And he was like, well, fine, go downstairs. And I was like, okay, I'll do what you say, but there's no reason to act like a and that's literally my exact words. And this cop pushed me up against the wall and arrested me for obstruction of justice. No
Oh
joke. Isn't that some shit?
no, I mean I believe it. All right, hang on a sec.
Yeah, so I guess that should be an embarrassing story. Quite frankly, I feel like it falls on the cop, though. If you know there's an injured veteran with a brain injury and PTSD, what are you going to arrest this guy because he said don't act like a You know what I mean? Shame on that cop, and we won't drop names here, but shame on you, mister. Shame on you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going a little overboard with
Oh, it
the.
is. And then I paid this lawyer in Martinsburg, West Virginia, $2,500 to get it off my record. And this lawyer went in there and said guilty and came back out and it was like, oh no. I was like, what'd you do? And he was like, "Oh, I got you guilty." I'm like, "No, what? What?" He told me to wait outside the courtroom. I'm like, "What? I paid you to like not have this happen. What are you doing?"
So wait, the lawyer pleaded guilty for you?
Dude,
Oh
literally
my god.
took my $2,500 from an injured veteran with a brain injury, and it's still on my record, man. Like, what? Are you kidding me? I got married at one point, which I'm going through a divorce now. It's cool. It's all gravy. But I wasn't allowed into Canada because of that.
Because
I'm not even kidding you. So when I tell you this, and the lawyer specifically told me, "Oh, don't worry, this will never come up. It's a misdemeanor." Blah blah blah. This stopped me from actually moving to Canada. Like,
oh, you tried to move to Canada.
I really
Okay.
did because my ex, well, soon to be ex wife, she's Canadian, so I was going to move up there with her.
Okay.
And it literally stopped. Like, it ruined my life. I gotten into Canada with all of my belongings, right? The first time, I guess they didn't have that random background check. And
Okay.
so I actually got into Canada, but I had to return the rental truck to Niagara Falls on the American side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I did that, and then on my way back into Canada, I got denied entrance, and I literally had the clothes on my back, and that's it. All the rest of my stuff is still in Canada. Get
And
out of
so,
here, dude.
and so you couldn't even collect your shit. That's
I couldn't
crazy.
even collect my stuff, dude. Like, how wild is that, man? All because I told a cop, "I'll do what you say, but don't act like a d-." Like, you slammed the door in the face of an injured veteran. Like, what? Come on. Are you kidding me?
Well, that, and I mean, from what you're telling me, not even just the injured veteran thing, but just the fact that he slammed the door in your face when, like, he didn't just say, like, you two go inside, you wait outside.
Exactly.
If he said, like, everyone or go inside, it's like,
Exactly. Like, and isn't
what are
that
you gonna
even
do?
so
Raise your
wild?
hand and be like, me? Like,
Yeah, right. Like, isn't that so wild? Like, so because yeah, he didn't verbalize the situation correctly. He didn't try to de-escalate anything. You know, like, that's escalating the situation at that point. Slamming the door in someone's face. I'm sorry. Like, what do you expect? You know, like, I didn't
yeah,
even yell at him at that point. I literally was talking to him like this, and I was like, "Cool, I'll do what you say, but there's no reason to act like a." You know me. I'm a smart ass, anyways. Like, and
oh,
that's.
oh, I remember a few of the group therapies we had years ago. Yeah,
Right? I mean, but on top of it, I told him I had a brain injury. So even if you said something, where is the compassion as an officer of the law to say, like, "Hey, okay, this guy has a brain injury from war. Maybe he didn't understand what I said. Let me reiterate this to him."
yeah.
None of that happened. And then for the lawyer to take my money on top of it, it was like, oh my goodness.
What that and
I should
yeah.
name drop them just to shame them, but I'm not
No, 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 no. That,
gonna. No, if anybody deserved it, I mean, no, I'm kidding, but not
oh,
really.
trust me, I know plenty of
No,
people, and but I'm gonna do like,
no, it's all good.
so after your injury, you said you were in the hospital, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, how long were you in the army
Um,
after
so
your injury
I
happened?
was in Germany for a couple months. After that, and then quite frankly, so that's where the army kind of started dropping the ball on me. And my parents got involved
Say
at
it
this
ain't
point.
so.
Yeah, right. I wasn't even getting the proper treatment or therapy or anything at this point. I was basically released back to this company at Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg. Yeah, I thought I said that incorrectly. Fort Bragg. And then I was released into them, but I was having issues. I was having trouble remembering stuff. Just all sorts of issues. And I went back to try to get help, and I was denied help. And it wasn't until um, oh man, that's a long story. It's
Hey man, we got unlimited time now, so we don't have to worry.
yeah, basically
I mean, if you don't want to talk, I don't want to force you into talking about anything,
yeah,
man.
no, well, see, it goes into like it goes into a lot of stuff, and quite frankly, the army ended up trying to deny. So here's my belief on it now. The army, when people come back from war now, it's almost like an insurance company where they, unless it's It's if they think that there's a chance they can deny something, sweep something underneath the rug, and not take care of the person, they will go to any lengths to make that person look like a druggie, a shitbag, you know, whatever it might be, to avoid having to pay the cost of it. And when I was in Iraq, I don't know if you heard about this, but a four-star general at the time got caught on camera saying that they would rather the veterans die in Iraq because it was cheaper for them to pay $400,000 to the families than it was for them to pay the medical expenses of us coming back injured. I wish I remembered that guy's name, but there's an actual video of this general that got caught on camera saying that. And it makes sense if knowing the treatment I've had, it's been horrible. My treatment of how the Army and what they've done to me. My parents had to fight with me. And again, I am eternally grateful for my parents. We had to fight for my retirement, which is insane to think
Oh
about.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane to think about the amount of stuff I went through, and I had to fight for my retire. I had to fight for you guys to give me like peanuts of what the money you guys waste every year, so that you can hold up your end of the bargain. Like I signed a contract with you guys. This was part of the agreement, right? You
Oh yeah.
guys are supposed to take care of me at this point. I got injured for y'all, so oh man, it still it's not the best taste in my mouth still with it. I went through so much. Basically, it got to a point where they tried to. I went to a full blown court martial, my friend, over a legal separation from the Army. I just wanted out of the Army at this point. I didn't even care about any of them. I'm like, guys, just get me the out, right?
Yeah.
Get me out. And you know, getting out of the armed services, you got to have uh, um, signatures from each and every person in your chain of command and all of it, right?
Yep.
I had all of their signatures, all of them. And they tried to claim that I legally separated from the Army, which what sense does that even make? Like that doesn't make I was like, I literally have y'all signatures. What are you doing telling me like how what? I had to get a lawyer, like I had an Army lawyer, a regular lawyer, my family was helping me again. It was this whole huge thing that just I was so like I didn't even know what to think. Like again, my girlfriend at the time knew I was having you know, issues with my brain injury, and she saw me sometimes, my whole face would just droop. She thought I was having strokes
Yep.
because my speech was so slurred, and she couldn't figure out what's going on. So she used to drive with me on post every day, and I would go inside there, and I would once my chain of command told me anything, I would literally come out to the car to her to try to instantly tell her what was happening, because when I was going by myself, when I got home, I couldn't tell her, I couldn't remember what was happening throughout
Yeah.
the
You
day.
couldn't remember the stuff. Yeah.
And so that's it got to that extent where that's what was happening. And then I was even messing that up. She's like, wait, you just left them. Why did you just tell me what they said? And I'm like, and I was getting so frustrated, I couldn't remember it. So then she had me hide a tape recorder in my pocket. And then that's how I was keeping track of what they were telling me, right? Because basically they were telling me one thing: oh, we are on your side, we don't know what's going on, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. And yet they were trying to literally screw my life and take away everything that I had served for behind the scenes, right? So I got them all on tape telling me exactly what they were telling me. And so it went to full blown court martial, and the colonel, battalion commander, got on stand and lied. My captain got on stand and lied. My first sergeant got, and this is under oath. Listen to this, under oath. High-ranking officials in the Army lied under oath to try to screw a soldier. Are you kidding me? That was
I,
already injured. That was already injured. It's so wild to think, like my platoon sergeant was supposed to be on my side, and they literally, he was in the witness room, right? They literally took him out of the witness room, which is illegal. My captain took him out of that room. They disappeared for 2 hours, came back, and then his whole story, my platoon sergeant's whole story changed, because if he would have told the truth in court, all of them would have gotten charged with perjury under
yeah.
oath. And so his whole story changed. They basically blackmailed my platoon sergeant to lie, the same lie that they were saying. But luckily, the judge allowed my lawyer to play the tape recorder I had of all of them saying what they're actually saying, right? And because I literally listened to everything they told me to do and did exactly everything they told me to do. And they were trying to use that to say that I had illegally separated. But that's not like I'm doing what y'all are telling me. How are you going to tell me I did anything wrong? Right? It's so wild to think this. When I first told the people at the VA this story, they didn't believe me. They thought because of my brain injury, I was making it up. I had to have my parents come in there with me with court papers to show them, like, look, this is what our government did to this guy, right?
Yeah.
It's so wild. But the judge, after hearing what was on the tape recorder, 5 minutes later came out, and I thought because she allowed the court, all of them, to continue to lie, I thought I was going to jail, man. I literally
That's
thought I was going to jail, and I gave my parents everything I had, and I told them I loved them, and I thought my life was over, basically. Again, right now, here I am, just getting past. I wouldn't even pass my injury. I was still dealing full force with the brain injury and PTSD, and then I had to go through that, and it was just it was hell, bro. And
Oh,
she came out, and because she heard the tape recorder, and she said not guilty, and I was just like I didn't know what to do. Like they got me out of the army so fast after that. They knew that I could have had a counter suit against them for what they did to me.
oh yeah.
They got me out so fast after that. I mean, I gotta tell you, like a day and a half later, bro, bam, I was done. Like, right? Literally, but yeah, so my lawyer told me to humble myself. He was like, man, just if they say anything, don't pay attention to anything. He was like, do what you need to get out of the army, have that be that. I know that's a wild story, but it's my truth. It's literally what happened.
Oh yeah. After my injury, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I got a plate in my head. I have a
Uh,
plastic plate in my head. And so after the third surgery, when they put that plate in, about 4 or 5 months after that, uh, I'm originally from Syracuse, New York, and there's a reserve unit up in Syracuse or a couple miles outside of Syracuse. And so after they put the plate in, I had to go and start working with the active duty part of the reserve unit, like the
yeah,
guys that did all the training and everything. And again, I literally just had a major surgery months before
they're
this.
putting you back to
And,
that.
and, and they're putting me back to work. They're having me do things like load telephone poles in and out of 7 tons up and over my head. It's like, if I
Yeah,
drop this, like I'm
you're
dead.
dead.
Like
You're literally dead, right? Yeah,
they had me do these things. And there was times that I'd be like, I'd get a migraine or something, and I'd go and they had a little like cafe or cafeteria area or lounge or whatever. I'd go and
yeah,
turn off the lights and sit in there. And there was this one first sergeant. He was a total piece of shit. He would literally come in and start yelling at me, and it's like I'm freaking out, like my head's killing me. And he's like, "Oh,
yeah.
you're just trying to take a nap, you lazy motherfucker." Blah 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 this and blah blah that. It's just like, dude,
It,
like what? At that point in time, it's like, what part of this don't you understand? And I mean, I don't think you didn't have any surgeries, did you?
I
Any
did not know.
so it's like a lot of people, they don't have any scars. It's like me, I got a ginormous scar. It's like, how
Yeah,
can you not see that and think, okay, hey, this guy might be telling the truth. He might
yeah,
actually have something wrong with him. Let me take it easy.
yeah.
And they
It,
made my life so miserable for about a year and a half. And then right
that's
before I got,
wild. You say a year and a half. That's pretty much about the time frame I had to go through all the extra BS too. Was about a year and a half.
yeah, and they, up until then, mine wasn't military related. Mine happened on leave, and that's a whole different story about whether or not the girl actually tried to kill me with the pickup truck, and that's a totally different. But I started talking to some naval medical personnel, and they're like, "Why weren't you on limited duty this whole time? You should have only
Yeah,
had to go to work for like 2 hours, and that's it."
yeah,
And it's just like, well, because there's like 10 of us at this reserve unit. It's like, how am I gonna? It's like, at least if you're on a main base, and I'm not saying you did anything, or I'm not, but it's like, at least if you're on a main base, I can go to higher ups. Like the only
yeah,
higher up that was like, what am I? Where am I supposed to go? It's like I'm just
yeah,
E3 at this point in time. It's like, what the am I? The higher ups here hate me, so it's like I can't complain to them because
yeah,
they treat me like shit anyway. And literally before they sent me to Divbik where we met, the higher ups are like, "Oh no, we need you to stay here because your job is important to us. And they had a drill weekend that I literally went to drill weekends, and I literally just sat there and watched the ammo the whole drill
Yeah,
weekend. It's like, you don't
that's so
need me
important.
for anything. It's like, this
Yeah,
is like my life. I need this therapy and I need this help to continue on with my life. And you're telling me that me going and watching your ammo is more important than me carrying on with my life. And
yeah.
then like
It's the
it
value of life, man. It's not there, and it's the mentality that they push. Like I'm sure, like anytime getting sick, going to what's it called in the mornings if you're sick at for PT formation,
like sick call or
sick call or whatever it is.
yeah.
They basically train them to have this perspective. Oh, basically every medic or PA that's in there, right? They think everybody's faking. They think
So
everybody is just trying to get out of PT. So you think about the mentality behind that, right? It's this mentality that they do on purpose. And that we're always trained, oh, just suck it up, be a man, suck this up, do this, do this. The value of our life has no meaning at that point. So if I tell you I'm having an issue, you're automatically going to think that I'm trying to get out of something, or
oh yeah.
I'm weak, or I'm this, or whatever it might be. It's really a sick mentality that they push through the military personnel on that, and
Oh,
the lack of humanity in it. It's
oh yeah. And
astounding.
speaking of the whole, like you said, be a man, one time, what, like a LAV or like the armored vehicles and stuff that
Yeah,
the troop transports and everything, they had one of the, I think he was E7, had me in the back of that cleaning it. And it's a very small space, and I'm bumping my head and hitting, and it's like, no, I can't do this. This isn't
yeah,
good. And he's like, oh, well, put on a Kevlar and go back in there. And I was still hitting my head, and it was giving me headaches
same
and
thing. Yeah,
problems and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I can't do this. And he's like, well, if you ever want to be a real man and do real man work, come back and see me. And it's just like, how about you go suck, dude? Like, I mean,
yeah.
what, like, you don't
It's
know shit about what I'm going through. It's
It's
just
just
like,
ignorance. It's ignorance. Is what it is. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean that in any derogatory sort of way. They're not. They've never been through that, and a lot of people, unfortunately, with where humanity's still at, unless they personally experience something, they still carry that ignorance with them. So when somebody says, "Oh, I can't do this. This is what's going on with me," it doesn't matter how you explain it. They're still going to
yeah.
hold their own perspective because of their that's what they have to base it off of their life experience. And it's quite sad, man. And I saw a lot of buddies too when I was going through that process I went through with illegal separation from the army crap. There's a lot of guys that came back just with really bad PTSD, and were told the same stuff. Well, suck it up. Well, if you go get therapy, they were literally told if you go get therapy, that's going to be on your permanent record. You
Yeah.
don't want this on your permanent record. So blah blah blah. So they're basically pushing these guys away from actually getting treatment. And I don't know how it is in the armed forces now. I'm talking about 2008, 2009, around that time, where hopefully things have gotten better by now. But back then, guys were pushed away from actually getting therapy and getting treatment. And then when they would, that they weren't able to sort out their issues and their pain themselves, they reached for alcohol or drugs because they wanted to try to make themselves feel better. And then they were labeled as druggies or alcoholics or dirtbags basically, and kicked out of the army for drug use or for alcoholism or for issues that came from alcoholism. And
Where if they were able to get the help that they needed, it might not
exactly,
have ever escalated
exactly,
to that
right? If
situation.
they could
Yeah.
have just gotten the help that they needed, like they were literally crying out for help. And it's so sad that the army just, oh man, that it's really sad, man. It's really sad. I saw a lot of really good guys get kicked out because of issues like that. And then it gets to the point where then they're already struggling this much, and now it's like, dude, you're ruining their lives. So now they just develop this attitude where like they're just like, well, it, man. If this is what y'all doing to me, I don't care anymore. I don't
Yeah.
care. And then that's becomes a destructive force in itself. It's
Well, not even if it's destructive, it's just you're stuck in that same spot for
yeah,
years. After my injury, it happened in Texas. I was flown to Syracuse, to the VA hospital in Syracuse, and I stayed there for a couple weeks, and I was seeing a counselor there. The counselor there, I don't want to say anything bad about him. It wasn't a good fit for me. I'm sure you've had
oh
counselors that
yeah,
you don't get along with and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that. and then so I had just always had in my head, probably part of it, like you said, the military stuff. Oh, if you need counseling, you're a bitch, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I had it in my head that I didn't need counseling, that I was fine. And it's like years later, I think it was 2008. No, not 2008, 2018. Sorry, that I went to that Marcus Institute out in Colorado. My
Uh-huh.
injury happened in 2009. Say I stopped seeing a counselor in 2010. So 8 years that I wasn't seeing a counselor
Yeah.
that I probably should have. And I went out to the Marcus Institute, and they were amazing people. And
Nice.
they made me see that, not that I needed counseling, but that I wasn't perfect and that it would help with a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And so I got back and I started seeing one counselor, and he was a total, again, we didn't get along. And my counselor now is significantly better. I don't want to say she's perfect, but she's the best one that I've had so far. So I'll stick with her while I can, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, just imagine if I had been getting this type of help for the eight
The
years.
whole
So it's like
time. Yeah.
not just military people, but people in general, even
General.
civilians,
Absolutely.
if they have been through such a traumatic event, they can't blame themselves and say, "Oh no, this is my fault. This happened to me for this." It's like, get as much help as you physically can, because it's a life changer. I mean, I went from I mean, I don't want to say that I don't have dark days now. It still happens. I mean, there's days that you wake up with screaming headaches, and it's just like, why am I here? It's just not worth it. But I'm in a much better place now than I was before I started seeing the help that I
Yeah.
needed.
No, me too. I can say the same. It's again in our society. Even I say, it's kind of toxic on how they men have been the oh man, I'm losing words. Hold on. The shoot
Oh, you're good.
mentality. Sorry, the mentality that that we've been pushed on. A man's supposed to be like this, and a man's supposed to be like this, and it's denying a whole other side of us. There's the divine feminine, divine masculine energies in the universe. That's a full part of us. And when I say divine feminine, I talk about stuff that you would relate to when you think about a female, like emotions and caring and compassion and stuff like that, these energies. And then there's the masculine traits, like shoot, I don't know how to label masculine traits, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and both sides of that are in all of us, and so to deny our emotions is denying a part of yourselves. And so I think, coming raising our consciousness level as a whole, and understanding that emotions are a huge, huge part of what we are. Science is just now starting to catch up to the fact that everything is energy. That means includes us, right? That includes our souls, our consciousness, all of it. Everything's energy. And if you think of it in terms like that, what is an emotion? Well, an emotion is it's literally it's energy that's happening in your brain, and then your brain processes that down through chemicals, which we perceive as different feelings.
Yeah.
And that's like the science behind it. And it's as science is developing more for an understanding of actually what our consciousness is and where consciousness comes from, it's quite amazing stuff, man. But I think therapy and understanding, or properly learning how to process emotions, and then think about them and release them after this.
One last thing, I don't necessarily. Sorry, I'm, like you said, drawing a blank on how to word things. At least I can edit it, right?
Yeah, edit button.
I I had a question. Now I can't think of what the question is. But no, all right. So, but now, I mean, I don't want to say you're doing perfectly, because I know I don't want you to go into detail about it. Not that I don't care. It's just I do care. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this. But I know you said a couple months you were in a bad place, but everything is good now. You're doing good.
I'm doing better again, man. Yeah. So for me, what I consider doing good, I still struggle on a daily basis. That's just the reality, my part of my reality. I again, it feels a lot of the stuff to my nervous system. It feels torturous. I literally feel most days I'm being mentally and physically tortured. If I can be real with you. But it's you know, it's my cross to bear, and like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I've learned so much. I've grown so much from it. An idea of me doing better. You can see I have a time blocks board there to try to
Yep.
help myself keep organized. I have another whiteboard over there with just simple stuff. Make your bed, take your vitamins, clean the cat litter, uh, you know, eat breakfast, stuff like that. But it just something, man. It just keeps me on track, helps me focus myself and my energies better. I'm eating healthy now. I've gone to meat free, dairy free, so basically a vegan diet. I feel better. I feel lighter. I have more energy. I'm working out 5 times a week now.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I try to do music at least once a day. That's a big thing with me.
Well, yes, because you've been really disappointing me over the years.
I'm
Because
so
for a
sorry, man.
while,
Yeah, I really like to if I mean, you know, I know you go through a lot as well. I want to put my stuff out so much, and it's a passion of mine. It's my life, to be honest with you. But truthfully, I struggle so much. It's hard for me to be productive. And then when I have tracks that I've finished to a certain point, you know, I need to get them sent off to get professionally mixed and mastered. And I had that one song I sent you that I did get professionally mixed and mastered,
yeah,
but it
I put
cost me,
that in my short
yeah,
yesterday.
it
Yeah.
cost me like $500 though to get that done. And it's just like, man, on, you know, my retirement, I don't have all that money. Social Security dicked me out of my Social Security disability aspect. That's a whole nother story in itself.
Mm.
Basically, I got screwed out of almost $200,000 in back pay. But it's just, I know, right? And again, it's just our government being what our government is. Like they don't have our best intentions. They don't, and I don't want to be one of those people that's a naysayer in our government. But man, there's truths and realities out there. If they literally had our best intentions, things would be done a lot different.
Oh, oh yeah, and I mean, I'm not just saying on that aspect. I mean,
Yeah,
I know I don't want to say 200,000, but I got screwed out of approximately 60 to $80,000,
yeah.
and it's no, I definitely think
Do you know how
the
many times I hear that same story though, bro? Like
the
from
elites
veterans,
hates us, and
where veterans are getting screwed out of large amounts of money that the government should have paid them, but
yeah.
they find some loopholes, they find some reason, they even make stuff up at sometimes because they're the ones making the rules, you know?
Well,
It's
not even that. Like I said, I have the plate in my head, and the VA did the final surgery to put the plate in my head. And when I was younger, I was stupid, and I thought trust the system.
yeah,
Well, when they gave me all my disability stuff and how up that math is with the disability and everything, it just like I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I trust you, this and that. And then a couple years ago, I think it was before I went to the other TBI facility, they're like, oh, we're going to put you through a reevaluation. And hearing all the stories of when people go through reevaluation, they lose percentages of
yeah,
disability. And it's just
that's
like,
literally why they do it.
so I'm stressing out and I'm going crazy and I'm losing sleep because it's like I was at 90% at the time. And it's like I barely make enough to do
How
certain
they
things.
only gave you 90s even crazy to me too, man.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to that. Yeah. And it's like I don't have enough money to do these things. And then I went online and I'm like, wait a second, they never rated me for missing a piece of my skull, which is an automatic, at least for
100%.
the
Yeah,
size that I'm missing, is an
yeah,
automatic like 50% on top of everything else. And it's just
yeah.
like
It should be 100.
they're like, well, that's a
Yeah,
whole nother
nother
conversation.
whole nother
But it's
story.
like the VA put the piece in my head and it's not rated on the VA
Yeah,
disability form. It's like, how do you mess this up?
yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, let's try to do this. And they're like, oh, well, no, because you never actually claimed it. It's like, I claimed
I
headaches, PTSD,
yeah, right?
literally
All
every symptom that goes with
from
my
my brain injury.
TBI,
Yeah.
but not the fact.
And that's what they do too, man. They do stuff like this and then they put it on us. But you got to understand, like, you're dealing with the person with the brain injury. Hello. Like, might they lose something? And shouldn't you guys have the compassion or just the empathy or humanity? I don't even know the proper word for that to take care of these people. Like, they're obviously going to have issues like this on forgetting stuff. Like, shouldn't that be automatically taken care of without this thought or concern? But it's all money, man. It's just all
Well,
money.
that, and
That's sad to say, but it just, yeah.
there, I'm glad now it's more prevalent now than it was back when we got out. But
Yeah,
there's a lot of organizations, the DAV, Wounded Warriors, they do a lot of good stuff like that and help people. And they helped me in the past.
I've had
But
horror stories with wounded warriors too. I can
oh,
tell you.
really? We'll
Yeah,
leave that
yeah,
for another video.
yeah. No, for sure.
But it's like they help me out with a lot of stuff. But not everyone that's getting out knows of these things. Well,
Yeah,
if they have cable, they do because there's commercials on it 24/7. But no, all right. So let's try to end this on a positive note.
yeah, yeah. No, for sure.
If you had to say what's
Sorry,
hello, no,
I got
you're good.
a little kitty popping up here. She needs some love. What's up, baby?
I don't know. How do we end this on a positive note? We'll do it with this. I'm really glad that you're doing well.
Thanks, man.
I
You as
hope that
well.
things continue to progress for you.
I do have music coming. I know I have disappointed you with not being able to release as much as I wanted.
No, no,
It's
I'm
trust me,
just
I've been very hard on myself about it because that's a big thing with me. But I do have songs I'm working on. I'm getting better at finishing tracks, finishing projects because that's been a big issue with mine is finishing them. I
yeah.
always have demos and I make demos and yada yada yada, but there's a lot more that goes into actually finishing the songs. And so that's been an issue with organization and other stuff that I have troubles with.
Oh,
And
trust me, I can't tell you how many hours I'll sit in front of my camera and have an outline of like things to do. I got my book over here with outlines on things to
yeah,
talk about and
yeah.
other.
So yeah, I have it myself. Here's my notebook with music stuff here, and I have like lists and notes for myself. And
Yeah, but it's like
yeah, same thing.
it's sometimes it's just so hard to put it into words, and then once you get it, and then you're re-listening to it, and it's like I sound stupid, and it's just I like you said, I understand the being tough on yourself. It's like
Yeah,
no one's tougher on me than I
thank
am,
you. Absolutely,
and
absolutely. And me too. So I just wanted to say I do have music. I promise you, I'm getting way better at finishing songs, and hopefully it's going to come out. I'm 41 now. And like I said, I feel like I've lost almost over a decade of my life, and those are such valuable years.
with
And
that and yeah, because you had talked about it earlier, and I meant to say it, but it's like how you were talking about Mike 2.0 and Mike 4.0. It's like
yeah,
I was 21 when it happened. I'm 34 now. So it's literally been a third of my life I've lived with a
exactly,
traumatic brain. So it's like
exactly.
I spent the first 21 years of my life trying to perfect or be good at what I wanted to be in the military, a US Marine. Now in my real life, I'm only really like 12 years old. So it's like I'm still
Yeah.
figuring out what the I want to do.
I
And
think you're a badass 12-year-old though, bro.
I dig it's the beard, right? It's the beard.
It is, man. You
But
just mature at an early age. I don't want to tell you.
I mean, I don't think I was 12 when I had a beard, but I was definitely shaving in middle school. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But
Oh, I hear
no,
you.
like I said, I'm glad you're doing good. When you get
Thanks,
your
man.
YouTube up, let me know and I'll definitely share it around with my
Absolutely,
community and
absolutely.
try to get you as
It's
many.
the yeah, it's gonna be the light workers. I think that's my new name. I'm gonna be going by. It's the light workers. And I don't know if you know the story of the light worker. It's supposed to be. It's been prophesized, I guess, about in different religions, even back in the ancient Egyptian times. So there's supposed to be 144,000 light workers all alive and present on Earth at one point to help raise that vibrate at a higher frequency to help raise the frequency of everybody else, so of human consciousness.
Okay.
And it was kind of given to me, and that's a whole other story in itself. But I didn't even know what a light worker was before, and when I tell you, it was just kind of given to me, not by it just came to me. And I had to look it up. I was like, man, what is this? I like Googled it and found out what it was. And I was like, that's super awesome because I'm all about love and I'm all about us as humans. I'm all about everybody literally doing the best they can possibly be and doing the best they can, like the best lives they can live. And that's what I want the message behind my music to be. I want it to bring us together. I want it to have a message of love and light and of compassion, of empathy, and I want to try to help bring all of us and unite humanity together, and that's kind of the story of the light workers, and that's what I'm really hoping it can be.
Well, I was looking for a positive way to end it, and I don't think I can get any more positive than that.
Yeah.
Mike, Mike, I love you, man.
I love you
Take,
too, homie.
take care of yourself, and we'll just keep talking on Facebook. And if we ever want to do this again, just let me
Absolutely.
know, and we'll talk some more.
Anytime you need me, man. Much love, brother. Take care of yourself.
You have a good day, sir.
All right, man. Peace out.